Starfield is a great game that does a lot of things right, but one area where it often falls short is with unique weapons. If you're not already familiar with the item system in Starfield, I'll give you a very brief summary. Weapons can show up as one of 4 different rarities: common, rare, epic, and legendary. Common weapons have no added effects to them. Rare weapons have 1 extra effect, epic 2 effects, and legendary 3. Now, as for unique weapons and how they're different, well, they're not. Technically, some of them do have different skins, and they are obtained in a guaranteed way, but most of the time they're nothing special compared to just a random good epic or legendary you found. Hell, most of the time they're actually worse, as the majority of unique weapons are just rares. I went through and located every single unique weapon I could find, and found that there were 7 legendary ones, 4 epics, 26 rares, and 6 commons. That's right, there's even uniques which are at common rarity. Because around 3/4 of the uniques are below epic rarity, it means that you're probably not going to use them all that much. Why bother using a unique weapon that's obviously worse than a random epic or legendary that you found in a box? This is the question I keep asking myself, and the way I see it, the rarity system and how uniques function within it need to be fixed. So I fixed every unique weapon in Starfield that I could find, and I did it in a really simple way. So first up, I'm making a very slight change to the rarity system. Common, rare, and epic all stays the same. You find those as random drops in the world, that's a-okay by me. However, you no longer randomly stumble across legendary weapons. Instead, this tier is now the unique tier. Unique weapons have set effects, so you know what you're going to get, but there is a very limited number of them, so there's still a chance to get an epic, or maybe even a rare, that could have effects that work really well with the base weapon type that isn't covered by the uniques. This means there's still reasons to try out the random weapons you find, but uniques get to feel like something special. Instead of having the pirate legend just be a rare maelstrom, which sucks, it gets to be something like this. Look at that glorious gun. A trio of effects, an actual unique skin. This is what I'd want uniques to actually be. Although let's face it, I'm no artist, so that doesn't actually look that great of a skin, but there are talented people at Bethesda who could make them look really good. Now that I've explained my plan, I'm going to lay out what I'm doing for the changes to the weapons currently in the game. First of all, those which are already at the legendary tier, they get to stay the same. Good job Bethesda, you got a thumbs up from Sarge for 7 of the uniques. But that does leave us with 36 weapons to fix. For each of these I'm going to add some effects so that they can go up to the top tier. I'll start with the epics as they only need 1 extra effect added, then move on to the rares, and finally the commons, which need the most work by far. I have consulted this chart in order to make sure the effects are each going in the correct slot, and I even made a colour-coded spreadsheet because uniques are what I obsess over, let me be nerdy about them. First up on the list we have David Wilson's rifle. This weapon already has the berserker and staggering effects on it. As a rule, I won't be taking or switching effects that are already on a weapon, as I wouldn't want to potentially make worse a weapon that someone is attached to. The whole goal of this is to enhance what's already there so that they can stand out. For this weapon, I wanted to double down on that knockdown effect, so also throw in concussive. Now this weapon has a chance to either stagger an enemy or make them fall flat on their face. Really makes it feel like the gun packs a punch. Second weapon to look at is Peacemaker. This rifle has rapid and demoralizing on it currently. Now demoralizing I kinda get, but rapid isn't really ideal on a weapon that already has very low fire rate and a low mag size. To try and combat this somewhat, I've thrown in the extended magazine effect to up it to 12. At least this way you can fire off bullets a little faster before needing that reload. Next up is Tempest. This rifle, which is truly deserving of the title of Epic, already has hand loading and Tesla on it. 2 pretty strong effects overall. As such, I didn't want to go for anything too crazy as the other effect, but the Tesla effect and the name Tempest made me feel like this is a weapon that will mess with robots, so I added on the disassembler modifier. Those Series A's won't know what hit 'em. And last on the list of weapons currently in the Epic category is Unfair Advantage. First of all, love the name. Second of all, this weapon has the radioactive effect, which doesn't show up on my chart and isn't on any other unique weapon, so already standing out a bit here. And third of all, this is a 6-cylinder revolver with the skip shot effect. Getting every 4th shot to fire 2 projectiles is great, but that is only once before your first reload. To fix this, I've added the extended magazine effect again. This doubles the mag size to 12, which better factors into 4. Now you get the skip shot effect reliably working 3 times before you need to reload. Much better. Alrighty, that was it for epics. Hopefully you're all following along nicely with the format of this, and can keep up as we move into the largest category, the rares. First rare weapon to talk about is Acid Rain, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge that this weapon looks great, and the skin, name and effect all tie together. That greenish yellow layer on a weapon with corrosive is perfect. Props to whoever made this gun. But we know the rules. I've got to add some effects to it, and what I decided with this beauty is to throw on Disassembler and Demoralizing. My thinking on this was that acid will eat through a robot's joints, wires and whatnot, hence the first effect. And if a person or animal has an acidic burn, they're probably going to start focusing more on fixing that than they are fighting, hence the second effect. And second weapon is Ambassador. This pistol has the shattering effect, making it great against armour. However, I feel that didn't really gel with the name that much, so I threw on anti-personnel and med theft. Ambassadors are supposed to get stuff from people. At least that's how my mind chose to see it, so extra effectiveness against people and the chance to get something from them when they die, yeah, there's some kind of logic in there. Next weapon is one we're likely all familiar with, the Ashta Tamer. And what it does is deal fire damage. Not tame Ashtas, or have any particular strength against them. So let's change that by adding Exterminator and Demoralizing. Exterminator is bonus damage versus aliens, which I assume is pretty much anything that isn't a human or a robot, so an Ashta should count. And Demoralizing represents the taming aspect. Hit an Ashta with this and it won't want to fight you anymore. Boom Boom. Fairly fitting name for an explosive shotgun, I'd say. When testing this weapon out, I found that it took a real long time to expend a full mag, and the explosive effect doesn't always proc, so adding the rapid effect combats both of these things somewhat. I also don't think you want to use explosive rounds at super close range, as that's just going to hurt you, so I also throw on the bashing effect. This is honestly one of the weakest ones in the game, but here it has some purpose. If an enemy is close enough to bash, you don't want to shoot them with this gun, as those explosions will hurt you too. Smack them with the butt instead, and then blast them once you've got a little room. Now we're on to Elegance, which is basically the same as Ambassador. Same pistol, same effect. This is why uniques don't currently feel at all unique. To fix this up a bit, I'm going to give this gun a specific way to use it. Throw on the Instigating and Hitman effects, and now you have a pistol which is an elegant opener. Use this at the start of a fight to aim a headshot and take down your first target with ease. Experiment A7 is a shotgun that's good against aliens. That sounds like a solid base to me, but let's make it a bit more experimental with hand loading and frenzy. Hand loading makes the weapon a lot more powerful, but gives it a chance to fail. That sounds experimental to me. And frenzy makes people go mad, like any good experiment should. Feather is a fitting name for this gun, as the titanium build makes it as light as a feather. Well, not really. A massive 2.19 would be a hell of a lot of feathers, but you get the idea. And because it would take so many feathers to make that actual weight, I decided to go with Furious and Rapid, to represent the weight of so many feathers bearing down on you. These two effects combined would also turn this from just a lighter version of a standard gun to one that deals crazy DPS. Next up is Fiscal Quarter, a Maelstrom with Shattering. This weapon should be about making money somehow, so I decided to go with anti-personnel and med theft. This means you can use it to kill people who are holding money, and you can loot healing items off of them to either sell or replace the ones that you use so as not spend more money. Theming. Time to get excited everyone, as it's about time to look at our first unique melee weapon. Fortune's Glory is this finely detailed blade with the staggering effect. This is already a decent modifier, but to make it a truly devastating weapon, I've also thrown on Furious and Shattering. If you can get in close and repeatedly stab someone with this blade, they are going down. Next is Fury with the Furious effect. Makes sense. But let's really make it furious by adding Rapid and Skip Shot. Now it spits hot lead at a crazy pace, and will often be shooting twice instead of once. Controlling the recoil will be basically impossible, but when you shoot that many bullets, some of them are bound to hit. Gallows Reach is the same base model as the previous weapon, but with a different design philosophy. Currently it just has the poison effect, causing slowing and damage. To enhance the dread it causes, I've added anti-personnel and demoralizing. With a name like Gallows Reach, this should be a weapon that causes fear to all people, so let's make sure it does. Heller's Cutter is up next, and it has the disassembler effect. For some reason. Look, I love using a cutter as my main weapon more than anyone else, but even I think the effects on this should lean away from combat. And so I'm going to introduce you to my first unique effect, Precision Mining. Instead of adding 2 effects like you've seen me do before, I'm adding just 1 effect, but it's truly unique to just this weapon. Heller's Cutter would still show as an orange weapon, just this time with 2 effects instead of 3. As for what this unique effect does, it gives you a small chance to gather more resources from mining surface objects. Basically the same sort of effect as the geology skill, but this stacks on top of that, meaning you can get some serious mining done with both equipped. Enough of the unique effects stacked on top of unique weapons, let's get back to the quick ones. Hunter Wolf is a long-range rifle designed to exterminate beasts. Sounds like a beast hunter's weapon, so let's throw on Hitman and Shattering, so you can look down the scope and take down the toughest of creatures from a distance. Mind Tear has Frenzy, which makes sense, but let's expand the meaning of Mind Tear to not just be psychologically tearing the enemy's mind, but also tearing your mind, and physically tearing their mind. Add the Berserker and Lacerate effects to represent that being crazy and using this weapon without armour is better somehow, and Lacerate because it physically cuts up the mind of whoever it's used on. On to the N67 Smart Gun now, which has the Shattering effect currently, but none of the other effects really stood out to me as a good choice. When I hear Smart Gun, I can't help but think of a Smart Pistol from Titanfall, and so I decided to somewhat replicate that effect with the unique modifier, Smart Aim. This causes bullets to lock onto nearby enemies. Essentially, you'd fire the gun as normal, but if the bullet was just passing by an enemy, it would curve to hit them instead. Might end up a little overpowered, especially for a weapon you can just buy, but the price of a weapon would obviously increase drastically to represent that. Time for a familiar sight with the Pirate Legend. I'll be quick here as we have already seen it before. Originally just has Space Adept making it suck most of the time, but could be a good weapon to use when boarding other ships. I decided to lean into that with the Corrosive and 1-inch punch effects. Corrosive reduces armour, helping you tear through enemies quickly, and 1-inch punch basically turns the rifle into a shotgun, giving you a full auto shotgun to blast apart enemies in the close confines of a spaceship. Up next is Peacekeeper, which right now just has an extended magazine. Hardly anything to write home about. Let's add on Staggering and Tesla to really keep the peace. Both of these can disrupt your enemies, meaning they won't be able to fight, which is about as peaceful as an attacking foe is going to get. Poison Storm is next up, and despite having an even cooler name, it sadly doesn't look half as good as Acid Rain did. This time around it's got the poison effect, which takes up the same slot as Corrosive, so no doubling up there. Instead I added on Anti-Personnel and Shattering. This is to signify the poison seeping through any defences and being specifically designed to target human beings. Street Sweeper is up next, and I kinda went crazy here. It already lacerates, but let's make it explosive and extend the magazine so you can truly clear an entire street with it. Power Beat is up next, and this is a rifle which already has the 1-inch punch effect. To keep it apart from Pirate's Legend, I decided to give it Cornered and Staggering as its other effects, meaning it is a great last-ditch weapon. When your health is low and the battle looks lost, whip this out and just fire like crazy. You just might end up winning after all. Rapid Shot is up next, and it has the Rapid effect. Makes sense with the name, but we've got the same problem of low mag size and low fire rate. To try and make up for this, I've thrown on the extended magazine and skip shot effects. This way you actually can fire a lot of shells from this weapon, and the faster speed comes into play a bit more. The Buzz Cut is our next weapon, and here it makes sense to have the rapid effect, just look at that fire rate. To make it even more devastating, I also added Furious, so it can shred if you actually land those shots. But I didn't want to make it too crazy strong, so Titanium build for the final effect, as being lightweight is never a bad thing. Time for another bit of excitement as we move on to our final unique melee weapon. That's right, there's two of them. Both melee and unarmed really need some love, and I hope somebody at Bethesda has been given the task to design a bunch of melee and unarmed weapons to add to this game, cause it needs it. For now though, the Last Priest is your best choice, and the elemental effect is great. Not found on any other uniques, so it already stands out. I decided to throw on Berserker and Incendiary as the two extra effects, and you know what, I'll let you figure out for yourselves why I did that. Onto the Mutineer, and we're dealing with another Space Adept gun. I personally don't love this effect as it's very niche use, but I decided to once again lean into this as a boarding weapon by adding Crippling and 1-inch Punch. Your mag pistol is now a shotgun, which does extra damage after hitting limbs, and with shotgun style spread, you're gonna hit some limbs. The Zapper is our penultimate rare weapon, and it has the Tesla effect. That makes sense. Could also do with a blue electric design on the skin, but that's a job for someone else. For me, I'm adding Disassembler and Staggering. This weapon should give a real shock when it hits, and those two seem to fit with that. Finally, we have Unrestrained Vengeance. Dear Lord, that is a cool name. Currently it just has Hitman, so extra damage while aiming. I decided to make it a kinda crazy weapon by adding Cornered and Skip Shot. Now it deals more damage when you're low on health, and will fire even more beams. Those were all of the rare weapons, meaning we're in the home stretch. A huge thank you to all of you who have stuck around so far, just 6 entries left. And first of the commons is Deadeye, a revolver so fancy looking that it is a disgrace that it is in the grey tier right now. We're going to fix that by first giving it a totally unique effect, also called Deadeye. This is a simple one, headshots deal double damage. Don't think I need to explain more there. The rule so far has been these custom effects I make take up 2 slots, so that still means 1 slot free, so I chose Titanium Build. This is clearly a fancily made weapon. Of course, only the finest titanium went into its construction. Second common weapon is Ember, and can someone tell me why these basic guns are getting the best skins? So obviously Ember needs the Incendiary effect, that's a no-brainer. I also decided to add Anti-Personnel and Demoralizing, as I've been told that fire is apparently very bad for humans and can make them panic. The more you know. Next unique is Jake's Hangover Cure. With a name like that, I knew exactly where to go. Anti-Personnel to start, then Med Theft so you can get something to fix that hangover of yours, and finally Concussive because that headache ain't going away anytime soon. Now on to Justifier, which once again gets a cool skin. This is going to get Instigating, Hitman and Shattering to just make it into a really good marksman rifle. Nothing fancy here, just some strong effects for a cool looking weapon. We're now on to the penultimate entry for the entire video, Sir Livingstone's Pistol. I've gone with Furious, Crippling and Titanium here to turn a very basic looking weapon into something that can be truly feared and won't even take up a single point of mass in your inventory. Final entry now, we have Solace. This weapon gives me secret agent kind of vibes, something like the Deliverer from Fallout 4 was what I had in mind. But as there's no in-person VAT system, I instead added on Anti-Personnel, Hitman and Skip Shot. Should make it the ideal weapon for quickly taking down people that you meet. And there we have it, the unique weapons in this game with effects to make them good, and a small rework of a rarity system in order to make it so uniques actually get to be unique. It would be a simple enough change to also do this with spacesuits and the like, but for now I think I should wrap things up. If you have your own ideas for what effects should have gone on which weapons, post it in the comments below. If you ever get the chance to talk to someone from Bethesda, please do ask them about the whole unique situation. Maybe even show them a dictionary so they can learn what unique actually means. And if you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.